Today we are going to do a themed advice from spirit reading. So what I mean by that is I'm going to pull one card here from the Smith-Waite deck, this one right there. Ooh, the Emperor. Wow. Wow, doesn't that look so cool with this beautiful lily? It's got like the maroon, the yellow, the hints of orange. That's wild. This lily just bloomed today and I was just like, I fell in love with it. Like it's like waterfalls of beauty, isn't it? It's just so gorgeous. Okay, so what I was about to say, or I was in the middle of saying, is we're doing a themed advice from spirit reading. So I pulled one card from the Smith-Waite deck. This is our theme. So now we're going to pull from this Everyday Tarot deck and get advice from spirit on how to better embody, how to more and more experience, how to achieve the Emperor archetype. So what is the Emperor archetype? That's going to be being in control, but in the positive sense. So not controlling, but in control. The leader of a community. And you know, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking of a video from actually last summer, and it was actually like a toad symbolism video, which like doesn't make sense until you listen to it, but it was talking about some of the best aspects of being an emperor and how like being an emperor is essentially like being the leader of your life and the leader in a community in a really positive sense. And so I'm going to link that video up in the description box of this video if in case there's something there that resonates. But in the meantime, we're going to pull from the tarot here now to get more advice for you on how to embody this beautiful leadership card, leadership essence in your life, in your career, and in your community. Oh boy. Okay, Nine of Cups. Advice for the viewer at the time they view this video, death, on how to embody more and more the Emperor essence. Ooh, more came out there than I was expecting. Oh my God, you can't make this up. Look at the bottom of the deck. We have the Empress. That is wild. I'm going to keep that right here. So there's definitely an abundance aspect to this reading as well. So it's leadership, it's that positive sense of control over your life, and it's also abundance. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. All right, so let's take a look at the story of these cards, shall we? Okay, so a pretty clear story is coming through here. So let me see if I can bring some pretty clear words to it instead of messy word vomit. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, so I'm getting almost like a, what's the word? Like the cards go in order and they're telling a story. Sometimes that's not really the case that I get all the time. Or that's not the case in all my readings. The stories kind of come through in different ways, but this is definitely almost like a storyline sort of story that wants to be spoken out. So, okay, let's just remember what these cards represent. They represent advice from spirit on how to more and more embody the Emperor Empress essence, which is this powerful essence of strong leadership, self-leadership, community leadership, potentially business or professional leadership. And it also, as it was like kind of positively or clarified by the Empress, is also has this beautiful, abundant essence to it. And so it starts off here, the first card that came out was the Nine of Cups. And so we go from the Nine of Cups to the Death card. And so I feel like what that progression is talking about is actually a willingness to see some of the dreams and wishes that you thought you had for your life, a willingness to lay those down. So let's just take a breath because that's not necessarily easy to hear, but I do think this is a really positive message. Like, so Nine of Cups generally represents kind of like a wish fulfillment card, right? And which is beautiful. But I'm really struck in this particular depiction of it. Do you see how this person is like looking backwards instead of looking forwards? And so it's just with it being depicted that way in this reading, and then with the death card coming out right afterwards, I'm just getting the sense that maybe some of the wishes that you think you have, that you thought you have, are actually wishes of your past self. And the wishes of your current self, and maybe the wishes of your higher self, are different than the wishes of your past self. And the more you're maybe willing to just explore that, like death to your past self's wishes, so that you can open up to your current self and higher self's wishes, I think the more you'll actually move into wish fulfillment. So I'm not saying that it's easy to allow past wishes or current wishes, but that are actually wishes of our past self, to quote unquote die. But it's been my experience that it actually is incredibly liberating and ultimately leads to actual wish fulfillment. So what am I trying to say? So my past self had so many projections of what she thought she wanted in her life and her business that are not actually aligned with who I am now that I know myself more, right? And I think it took me a long time to recognize that maybe the wishes that I came up with that came from my past self didn't align with my current self. And so I think the more I allow my higher self to inform me of who I innately am, and then therefore the wishes and goals and dreams that align with that, the more easily I not only move into wish fulfillment instead of just fantasizing about wish fulfillment, right? But also the more I actually am joyful in my mundane life. And so although it can be hard to hear, it might be necessary for you to let go of some of what you currently think are your wish fulfillment, but is really coming from your past self in order to embody this Emperor energy. I also think like I'm getting such a lightness and relief to it, because I think it sometimes we get like tethered to these, these wishes that we made a while back, that prevent us from moving forward. So I hope that makes sense. So these almost feel like two of the most powerful, like just the starting, like we can't, until that makes sense, none of the rest of this will make sense, or this kind of trumps all in this reading, I guess. So if you're still with me, if this is resonating, then what's coming next is the Magician in reverse and the Knight of Swords in reverse. And so the story I'm getting with those two cards are to like almost like stop trying so hard to make it all happen, and make it all happen fast. Does that make sense? And I think sometimes when our wishes aren't truly aligned with our higher self, aren't truly aligned with this Emperor, Empress energy, we kind of get into that toxic version of the magician, where we're trying too much, we're trying too hard, we're trying too fast. What actually is another main message of this advice is to cut through any veils and get to the heart of matters. So Ace of Swords, to get to root level truths. So essentially like working hard, wishful thinking, positive thinking is not what's going to help you embody this power leadership energy, this powerfully abundant energy of the Emperor and the Empress. It's actually like a cutting through the veil, a cutting through to truth, a standing for truth. And wow, as I'm saying all this, I think I just recorded a reading. I think if any of this is resonating, I will link that reading up in the description box, because I think there's a lot of similar themes here, especially because the Ten of Swords in reverse is showing up at the end here, which to me can often indicate like a resistance to change. And this last reading that I just recorded, there was essence of like positive thinking is not what's going to get you the change you want. But another part of it was like one of the main messages was that there might be some resistance to change that you are unaware of. So I think when it's coming out in the position of like advice from spirit, I think what's being said is just being willing to get more and more curious about where you might be resisting change, being willing to get to awaken to how you might unconsciously be holding yourself back because you are afraid of change. Because I think the key here is cutting through the veils, and part of those veils are some of our unconscious unconscious habits, unconscious patterns, right? And so it might be helpful for you to like ask yourself questions such as like, what do I gain from things staying the same, right? So we'll make the assumption that you would like to embody this Emperor, Empress energy more. So you might be experiencing it some, but we're making the assumption that if you're coming to this reading, if this reading's for you, you're still listening to me, you're also you're feeling a sort of lack of it to a certain extent, and you would like to feel more of it. You would like to experience it more. So then I think, again, looking at where there are unconscious benefits of not embodying this energy. There are unconscious benefits of staying where you're at and experiencing essentially the same thing. I think the more you're willing to look in that regard at your life, the more you're going to be able to cut through what doesn't serve you and get to the heart of matters, cut through veils, and more truly embody the beauty that the Emperor and the Empress do embody when they are positively aspected. And so just to summarize, I think there's a looking at your wishes, your goals, your dreams, and realize kind of doing a little inventory maybe and like a recalibration and really getting clear with yourself and honest with yourself about how some of those wishes might be your past self, like encroaching on your current self, and that your current self and your higher self might have different wishes. And so some of those past wishes might need to be put to rest. And in that, there's also a release of fake control with the Magician in reverse and the Knight of Swords in reverse. So like we talked about how the Emperor is like this powerful, can represent like this powerful, positive control, like you're in control, like self-leadership, and then positive community leadership, right? But I think with the Magician in reverse and the Knight of Swords in reverse, the message there, the advice there is there might be aspects of yourself that are often trying to like grip to control, right? To try to make things happen. But there might be like trying to make the wrong things happen. You know what I mean? So that's where this Ace of Swords comes in. It's cutting through the veil. It's willing to awaken more and more to how you might be holding yourself back, how you might be unconsciously resisting change. And again, the kind of like questioning that's coming through that might be helpful if this is resonating and you want to like do some journaling around it is, how am I benefiting from not changing? How am I benefiting from not embodying the Emperor and the Empress, so that you can get clear with yourself. You can cut through the veil of unconsciousness. You can get clear with yourself, honest with yourself about how you might be doing that. And with that awareness, it's almost like I'm getting like we would just clear all these cards, and then we'd need new advice from spirit. Do you know what I mean? Because you'd be at a different level with embodying this. That's how powerful I feel like it is. And so I think observation is key, curiosity is key, awareness is key. And the more you're just willing to be willing, you know what I mean? Like instead of doubling down on what you thought your wishes and goals were, instead of doubling down on this, like, I got to make it happen, I got to control it, instead of doubling down on like, but I'm trying to change, you're just like gently massaging your psyche a little bit. And you're just like, what if my goals and wishes, what if some of them are in alignment with my current self and my higher self, but what if some of them are not? And what if some of the actions I'm taking, whether it be in a metaphysical way or in a really tangible action-based way, what if some of them are representation of like inspired action and this kind of emperor empress energy, and what if some of them are just like a attempt to control because I'm scared? And what if I really am craving change, and consciously I think I do want to change, but what if there are parts of me that are really terrified of change? And what if there are benefits of staying the same? And what if there are benefits of not embodying the emperor and the empress? And what if I got clear on that, and then I could make some choices from this really honest, grounded place? Do you feel the power in that? I think it feels incredibly powerful, which is great because we have the emperor being the theme of this whole reading. So I hope this resonates. I hope it's helpful. And I am certainly getting the sense of your power, which is what I really want to come through. And although some of these messages aren't necessarily like fun to hear, I also am just like getting a very positive sense about this. Like I think there's such power if this is resonating, if this is your reading, in taking this awareness forward. I think it could really have some powerful effects in your life in the direction of more and more experiencing this beautiful Emperor Empress energy.